Good evening. This is Shannon Sproul. I am your host for Visionaries Talk Back. I am an author and CEO of SMS Right On Publishing. And tonight I'm back at it with a phenomenal guest. His name is Daryl Fletcher. Let me tell you a little bit about Daryl. He's a speaker, coach, and author. Daryl Fletcher gives individuals and organizations life-changing tools to be effective in their personal and professional relationships. He is the CEO and principal consultant for One Dynamic Life Consultant, a company that provides strategies and techniques for organizations to improve their internal communication, leadership development, and relationship building. Daryl works with companies on a small and national scale, helping them increase productivity, boost employee morale, and building stronger sales teams. Previous clients have been able to surpass their annual goals by over 50% with his help. He is an expert in the area of helping people maximize their potential and increase the quality of their relationships. Daryl is he's a well sought after keynote speaker, workshop facilitator, and coach. His sessions are filled with thought provoking content, humor, and practical methods for success, both personally and professionally. A champion for relationships, Daryl and his team are focused on the success of their clients. If you want to increase customer, audience, and relationship engagement, boost morale with your organization, increase connections in your professional and your personal relationships, eliminate communication barriers, and increase productivity and strengthen your team. Help me welcome the rock star relationship coach, Daryl Fletcher.
Hey,
Daryl,
hey, how's it going?
welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I
All right.
appreciate the invite. It is such an honor to
Yes.
be with you and your audience. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. So let me tell the audience first off, please share. Daryl's going to share some great information with us. So make sure you share this broadcast. Also, if you have questions you want to ask Daryl, use the comment section, and we can post those questions for him to answer. So Daryl, we're going to jump right in.
Let's dive in.
We're going to talk relationships today.
That's fine. That's one of my
Okay.
number one topics I like talking about.
And I'm going to ask you the number one question.
All right.
Why do people cheat?
Why do people cheat?
Yes.
Well, the number one question, as a relationship coach and relationship strategist, I come across so many different people that have so many different challenges in the space of relationships. And so just like you said, that's a hot topic in a lot of marriages, a hot topic in a lot of relationships. And what we've found is the reason why people cheat is because they are actually masking something that there's a need for. And so I'm not saying that there's necessarily there's a need in relationship, but there's a need that is within themselves. And so many times people use cheating as a mechanism to mask what is actually going on, so they really won't have to deal with the issue. So cheating is not the issue, but cheating is a byproduct of a bigger issue. And so people have not had the discipline that they need in order to address that issue, nor to stray away from the challenge of cheating. So cheating is much easier than it is to actually address the issue that is going on the inside.
Okay, so when you say there's an issue going on the inside, is it a issue within that relationship? Or
no, many times it is not. It is not an issue within that relationship. What we find actually is many times people don't have relationship issues. They have issues within themselves that manifest themselves in a relationship. Point in case, myself, I have actually had the opportunity to be the cheater and have had the opportunity to be the one that has been cheated on. And so in those instances, those types of things. For I can only speak from when I was cheating. I was suffering from a sense of abandonment, and from that sense of abandonment, what I actually had to begin to address was my abandonment issues, my commitment issues, my issues with being vulnerable, rather than just straying off, and rather than addressing what was going on inside of me, addressing the bigger facts of what I was dealing with.
That's interesting. So, would your suggestion be for someone that is finds himself, because there have I've seen and heard relationships where the husband or the wife may cheat, but say I love my wife or I love my husband,
Hmm.
but they're with someone else. So for
Yeah.
the one that's being cheated on, they find that hard to believe. You love me, but you're with someone else.
Yeah,
So
because the thing about that is many people define what love is in different ways. So, what we actually see is that love is not a definition of ability. And love does not actually say that I can't or I can do something. Love is an emotion and a feeling that many people feel, in which they have a certain level of attraction or a certain level of connection with someone. So, important case, like you say, yes, a person is being cheated on. But that person that's doing the cheating says, well, I really and still do love this other person that I'm cheating on. The thing about it is they will actually love that particular person, but they may not have the ability in order to be disciplined of not fall victim or fall to their proclivities. And so once again, until that person is honest with themselves on what is the real issue we're dealing with here, you have a lack of discipline. You may be have some vulnerability issues. You may be having some abandonment issues. Whatever it is, until you address that issue with some discipline, then you will continue to fall into that cycle of cheating. And unfortunately, that's how many people operate. So it's not a sense of, hey, I don't love you, and because I don't love you, I'm cheating on you. What it is a sense of is, I love you, but I don't have enough discipline to say no to the thing that is my proclivity.
okay. Now I'm going to ask a tough question here.
Sure, I'm
So
ready.
okay, so I understand exactly what you're saying, and I get that. But what about in a relationship? We hear the man say, "You weren't. I love you, but you weren't satisfying me, so I had to go outside of our marriage to get that satisfaction." Are we dealing with the same thing in a situation like that?
In a situation like that, that is only once again an excuse for lack of communication and lack of
Okay.
discipline. And so
Okay.
if you have a situation where someone says, hey, I'm not getting XYZ out of this particular relationship, then now I'm going to use it as an excuse to go out and quote unquote get what I want. Once again, it's a lack of discipline of saying, being able to say, if I'm in a committed relationship, if I'm in a marriage, then I have vows, or we have an understanding that there are going to be certain things that we do within the confines of our relationship. So that's number one. Number two, lack of discipline. Well, I told her what I wanted. I told them what I wanted, but they still didn't give it to me. Just because you're talking doesn't mean you're actually being heard. In order for communication, in order to be successful, the communication, the ideas and feelings of the audience has to be connected with the words of the person that is actually talking. So what does that look like? Just because you say, hey, well, I like it like this, or I want it this way, and that person doesn't do it, or they do it and it's still not to your liking, there still may be a lack of connection and a lack of understanding on what actually needs to happen. And so many times what we do in our relationship coaching, we ask people a series of questions. And one of those questions is, what are you afraid of? And many times there are only, when we get down to the nitty gritty of what a person is afraid of, that paints the picture of how we can begin to address the particular issue that they're having in that problem. So you may have a person say, well, hey, I like it like A, but you only give it to me like B. Okay, if I only give it to you like B, what are you afraid of that will happen in our relationship? I mean, are you really understanding how things are working? But once again, it goes back to communication before or during the relationship. Have we properly communicated to that particular person our needs, our desires for that particular relationship? So within our relationship coaching space, we teach couples how to ask a gamut of questions on how they can actually build that connection and break down the barriers within their relationship.
Wow, that's good. Good. And I'm asked this question specifically for men, even though I think there are some women that find it difficult. But
Okay.
why is it hard for men to communicate in a relationship?
Many times it's hard for men to communicate in a relationship for a number of reasons. If you ask the average man, and he says, "Hey, um, has it ever been a good experience when a woman says, 'Hey, we need to talk'?" And so when a woman says, "Hey, we need to talk," rarely has it ever been a great experience for that person on the receiving end of those words where, "Hey, we need to talk," actually turned out well. It could have been a motherly issue. It could have been a previous relationship issue. But at the end of the day, many times what happens is people, or men in particular, have not had a great experience when it comes to talking about their feelings, talking about what's going on in their head. And many women don't necessarily know how to speak their particular husband's or their boyfriend's language. So at the end of the day, we often say, "Hey, we just need to talk it out." But the challenge is many women speak in the manner in which they like to be communicated, but are not interested in learning in the style and the manner a man is like to be communicated to or with. So it's not that men don't like to talk. What it really is that you have to learn how to understand how to connect and talk to him on the basis or on the playing field of that he communicates. Point in case, you can find a man that will go in the barbershop and talk for hours, but then when he comes home, he has nothing to say with his significant other. Why is that? Because the barbershop has presented him a conducive environment in order for him to express himself and to share his feelings. Same thing when he comes home, now he doesn't feel like he can express his feelings because many times he is in fear of judgment from his particular spouse or significant other. So when I'm with the boys, I can say what I got to say. I can do what I got to do and express myself any kind of way. But now when I come home, I sometimes feel like I'm walking on eggshells because every time I open up my mouth, you're telling me that I'm wrong. You're actually judging me for what I really have to say. And if I'm getting judged every time I share my feelings, then guess what? I'm going to keep my feelings to myself.
Wow. That I can relate to that. There was once upon a time, like I think now, and I've been married going on 33 years.
Awesome. Congratulations.
And thank you. And those are some of the things that earlier on in my marriage we went through, because I had a different mindset than my husband. And I came at him the way I felt. And a lot of times it wasn't the same mindset that he had.
Yes.
I think now through us learning to communicate better, we talk about anything.
Yeah. You had to learn his language.
And I had to learn, and I had to flex some of my things, hold back. You not hold back, but change some of my ways. You know what I'm saying?
It's about making adjustments. Point in case.
There you go.
I just came back from Puerto Rico, and I don't speak Spanish. However, I was able to have many fruitful conversations, not because I spoke Spanish, but because I was willing to learn certain Spanish words. And so many times as we're in a relationship, we have to learn how to adapt and make adjustments to what our partner's communication style is so that we can build that connection that we're actually looking for. And that actually starts with not being so judgmental in those conversations. Because when we are judgmental in those conversations, that does not create an environment of conduciveness or connection. What it does is it actually pushes our partner away and doesn't give them the space to embrace who they actually are. So if I feel like I'm being judged every time I open up my mouth and tell you my feelings, then guess what? I'm not going to talk to you.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. What are the most common issues in relationships today?
Most common issue is communication. I don't care what it is. I don't care how you set it up. The root comes back to communication. Now we break that down into three different categories. We break that down into either someone's being selfish,
Okay.
someone is being immature, or
Hmm.
someone is not listening. And so when we break it down that way, what we really have an opportunity to understand is I don't care if it's about finances, I don't care if it's about sex, I don't care if it's about how we raise the kids. Someone may be being immature, someone may be being selfish, and then someone is not listening. So when we teach each other how to communicate to one another, we have the opportunity to grow up and be mature. We have the opportunity to be selfless and not selfish, and we have the opportunity to actually listen to our partner and really begin to understand their needs for that particular relationship.
Wow, that's good, good. And I think I don't think it's just today. I think communication has always been
It
major
yeah,
issues in
it,
relationships.
it has always been. The thing about it is you hear people say communicate, but it's the communication is not the answer. What is the answer is learning the language in order to communicate. So
Mm.
once again, you drop me off in a African country that does not speak English, right? In order for me to eat, sleep, live, love, and do whatever else I want to do in that place, I'm gonna have to learn the language of that particular place. So
Absolutely.
it's the same thing within your relationship. In order for you to live, sleep, eat, have a thriving relationship, you have to learn the language of your particular relationship in order to make it thriving and keep it thriving.
Wow, that's good. That's some good stuff.
Thank you.
I hope couples are listening out there. So, how do I, not I really, but just how do I get my relationship, marriage unstuck and back on track? These are for those that are having problems communicating. What are some of the steps that they can take?
Well, one of the steps that we teach our clients that we work with is we teach them number one. Here is the number one thing. It's the number one step. This is the first step. Be very, very honest. Be
Okay.
honest. You cannot fix anything on a lie. Nothing can be
Mm.
fixed on a lie. So here's the thing about honesty. When couples are finally honest with each other, we find many times that they are hurt in the beginning, but thankful in the ending. Because many times what happens is they've been living a lie for so many years that they didn't even really realize that they have not only been lying to their partner, but they've been lying to themselves. So
Mm.
the first step is actually being honest with yourself and honest with your significant other. The second thing is that we teach our clients is you need a purpose of why you are together. Why you are together. And the reason why that is so important is because a purpose gives you a common goal and a common enemy. And when you have a common goal and a common enemy, you don't have time to fight one another. Point in case, my wife and I, we work together in our ministry called the Love Logistics Circle. And we also work together in our private sector of the One Dynamic Life Consulting business. And so with that, we have so much to do where we're focused. We are laser focused on our tasks, laser focused on what God has
Mm.
given us to accomplish. And so when we think about it in the grand scheme of things, all the things that we could argue about, it's really not worth it. All the things that we could be focusing on, it's really not worth it. So we focus on what our God-given purpose is and how to accomplish that purpose and achieve the goals that we've set for ourselves.
So, and maybe I just want to elaborate on that a little bit. So, are you saying as a couple you should be working together because it,
We're not necessarily working together from the standpoint of a business, but there's something that when you two get together, you should leave there should be a fingerprint of you two being together, whether it's
gotcha.
ministry, whether it's a business, whether it's philanthropy work, whatever it is, that you guys should have something bigger than you that both of you can work on together or work for. It might be volunteer work. It might be fully feeding the homeless. It might be, uh, doing stuff for orphanages, whatever it is, but it's greater than you, and you guys do it together. And what we do with a lot of our couples, we do what we call a SWOT analysis based upon their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And what people realize is their strengths and the weaknesses are really designed to bring balance within the relationship, but it also lets them know what one is good at and what the other one is good at, or vice versa. What happens is we now know how we can begin to attack or address certain issues within our relationship. So when we have something that's greater than us, whether it be ministry or business, we now
Mhm.
have something to go after and fight for.
Wow, that's really good and gives me something to think about. I've never,
Yes.
looked at it that way as far as working together and focusing together on something, like you said, whether it's ministry, whether it's work, whether it's volunteering, that when you think about it, yeah. And I think that helps, and correct me if I'm wrong, that helps strengthen that relationship also.
It does. It helps strengthen relationship because now you have something in common. And
Hmm.
because you have something in common, you have something to work with and work for. And so
Wow.
my wife, we do couple vision board parties, and within those couple vision board parties, we help couples to really begin to understand what purpose is all about. And many times when you hear the word purpose, people think, well, it's about a business. It may not be a business. It may
Hmm.
be just simply about, maybe you guys round up all the kids in the neighborhood and make sure that they're fed. Maybe you start selling ice cream together, whatever it is. But those whatever it is, it's based upon a problem that you guys see together. Let's solve this problem. And when we help
Yeah.
solve this problem, it is connected to our ultimate purpose.
Yeah. And I'm just in awe of that because me and my husband, um in 2013 we lost one of my sons. He was killed in
Mm,
a car accident. And from that we started an organization for parents that have lost their children.
hmm
It's a support group and we meet monthly. And the thing that was amazing is I saw a different side of my husband
hmm
come out during these sessions that we did. A
hmm
side of him I really, hearing him talk and hearing him minister to other couples about the loss of their children, I saw a different man just
Exactly.
from us working together and doing that. So I definitely understand where you're coming from on that.
hmm
Definitely.
and that's exactly what it does. It gives you to see that person, that particular couple, I mean, that particular person in the relationship in a different light, in a different spectrum, to really begin to understand, you know what? Because see, a lot of times in a relationship, we begin to take that person for granted, and we
Mm-hmm.
begin to dehumanize them from the aspect of, oh, that's just John, or that's just Keisha. But no, Keisha has feelings. Keisha has different layers to her, to where, you know what, man, I forgot about that side of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen that side of her in so long that it just it's I basically neglected that particular side of her. And so once again, with that purpose, or that common purpose in the relationship, it gives us a common goal and a common enemy, and we know how to fight for one another. So, I always give the example when I'm working with couples, where if you're stuck in a room and you have just been mad at somebody or mad at each other, but somebody in that room tries to come in and attack your spouse, do you have time to fight? No. You only have
Mm-mm.
one common goal: to beat the
Stop.
enemy that has tried to come into that room. And so that's the
Absolutely.
same thing and same approach that you have to begin to address your relationship. There are enemies that are trying to distract us. There are enemies that are trying to get our attention from off our God-given goal. So our job is to connect with one another and fight against whatever tries to derail our relationship.
Wow, that's some good stuff there. Definitely. Definitely. I got another question here.
Sure.
In a relationship, is alone time important? I'm just a strong believer that yes, we are a unit, but before we're a unit, I'm me. So is it important to have that alone time for yourself?
It is very important to have that alone time, but here's the key to that alone time. That alone time needs to be communicated and not communicated, and also the why behind the alone time. So I'm an extrovert. My wife is an introvert. And so my wife gets energy off being by herself. I get
Yeah.
energy from being around people. And
Okay.
so, in order for me to understand my wife, so, when we go to parties, my wife is chilling. She's fine by herself. But when I'm going to parties, I'm the one that's lively. So, when you have that communication, and once again, we're going back to communication, and you're able to really talk to one another and through certain subjects, now you begin to understand the why behind what's going on in your particular partner's life. So it's really not about, because see, what we do most of the time in a relationship is we make everything about us. And
Okay.
so when we start making everything about us, that kind of pushes your partner out of the way. And the thing about it is, maybe that's not about you. Maybe they just really like to be by themselves. Or then you
Mm.
begin to think, well, if they by themselves, they must be doing something that they ain't got no business doing. Unless they have a pattern of that, then I wouldn't worry about that. What you really need to understand is, once again, the why. And here's the thing: everything that's done in the dark will come to light. You don't have to
Yeah.
go searching for it. You don't
Mhm.
have to pressure your partner about it. It's going to come to light. And so at the end of the day, you can spend your energy on other things and certain things that feed your relationship and not rob it.
Wow, that's very well said. Very well said. So we gonna wrap up, but I got one last question for you.
Sure.
If you had one chance to give couples one piece of advice, what would that be?
That advice would be hmm, it changes all the time because we run across so many different aspects. But I was going to say honesty. I was going to say communication, and those typically are my two answers. But at the end of the day, I think um, you have to love your way through things,
Mm, yeah.
not love your partner to something. Because a lot of times people love to a certain point, and when it gets too hard, they stop.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
you have to love through. So whatever you're going and experiencing right now, love your partner through it.
Yes. Yes.
And here's the thing. And I know you said one, but I
No,
need
go
to add
ahead.
this. I need to add this addendum. Love will not always be enough,
Yeah.
because we all know people who love someone, but they're still not together. But here's what is enough: when you learn how to fill your tool bag. Fill your
Mm,
tool bag with resources, information, and strategies that will help you build your relationship and not tear it down. So
mm,
love is a great start, but love is not enough. So you need to learn how to communicate. Put that in the tool bag. You need to learn how to forgive. Put that in the tool bag. You need
mm-hmm.
to know how to compromise. Put that in the tool bag. You need to learn how to handle your finances. Put that in the tool bag. But build your tool bag with character and strategies and techniques that will build your relationship and not tear it down.
That's some good advice. That is really some great advice.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. You have a book out.
Yes, we have a book. It's called
Yes.
Disgustingly Beautiful. I had it here a minute ago. Here it is. It's called Disgustingly Beautiful: The Good, Bad, and Ugly of Couples. It's actually a relationship book that is
Okay.
broken down into three sections. There is a single section, a dating section, and a marriage section,
Wow.
all giving tips, strategies, and tools on how to have a great and quality relationship. In the single section, we address many issues about communications, sex, intimacy, being alone, dating yourself, knowing yourself, all that type of stuff. And the same thread goes throughout the whole book. But the most important thing that I would say from this particular book is from that you would learn is that you will have an opportunity to learn more about yourself. Because once again,
Mm,
you don't have relationship issues, you have internal issues or personal issues that are manifesting in the
In the
relationship.
relationship.
And
Wow.
so we interviewed over 100 couples, from a couple that was married for 54 years to a couple that they were on their first date. And you can go to Amazon and buy this book. The book is, once again, Disgustingly Beautiful: The Good, Bad, and Ugly of Couples.
Hold it up so the audience can see it.
Disgustingly Beautiful: The Good, Bad, and Ugly of Couples.
Yeah.
Or you can go to our website, lovelogisticscircle.com, and purchase the book. If you purchase the book on our website, you'll get an autographed copy. But if you purchase it from Amazon, you'll just get a copy. But yeah, it's a valuable book. Christmas is coming up. Be a great book to give people. I'm serious, because people get lonely. People get all types of things, during the holidays. But this would be a great way to help them offset that loneliness and really learn more about themselves and help them prepare for their next relationship and know how to learn how to make their next relationship their best relationship.
Yeah. And the information that you've just given us a taste of, if that's any example of what's in the book, I'm ordering that book because you've given me a lot of food for thought and some great information.
Thank you.
Even if we think that our relationship is going great, the things that we've talked about tonight, having those things in the toolbox, these are things that you'll need just continuously to make sure that relation continues to run smoothly. Great information.
One of the chapters in the book is called "Maintenance is Always Cheaper Than Repair." And
I like that.
Where we really we teach couples how to maintain the relationship rather than wait till it's falling apart and somebody done pack their bags and ready to move out, because then now it's more expensive to try to get them back. But if you maintain the relationship, it'll always been cheaper than try to repair the relationship.
Wow. Daryl, you have opened our eyes and given us a lot of food for thought tonight.
Thank you so
much for joining us. Thank you very much. All right. And you have a blessed evening.
You too now. Thank you.
All right. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed that episode. I did. Daryl brought a lot of great information to us. Well, as usual, I want you to have a blessed evening and look for my next show, which will be next Wednesday, where we will have Pete Canavan come in and talk about safety. That's going to be another great episode. It's safety for women out here that are out by themselves. Just a lot of safety tips he's going to provide for us. So until then, be blessed and have a great evening.